I mean, look at what happened has happened in Texas for the last decade plus.
Yeah.
But, I'll say this about Auburn, for the complexities that exist there when it comes to coaching football and the dysfunction in and around the program. Over and above all that, you look at the last decade or so, really the last 12 years, they still won at a high level. I mean, they won a national title in 10. They played for another one in 13. They were right there on the cusp of potentially playing for another one in 17. They beat Georgia and Bama back-to-back weeks and then losing the SEC championship game, or they would have been in the playoffs. So despite all this, it's still been a marquee program who has played at a high level, which I still think people say, well, who would go there if Harsin does indeed not make it? You guys know how coaches are. Coaches always think they can go in and change things to get it to where they want it, especially at a place like Auburn that has great tradition, great fan support, all the resources it takes to win at a high level. And over this last decade, it's right there in proof that they've done it.
It is, Chris, and this is Drew DeArmond. It's great to speak with you again. But I know you just mentioned Allen Green. He's in the last year of his contract, so he's definitely in limbo. And then, as you mentioned, Jay Gouge, outgoing president. The new president's been appointed, but he doesn't go into office until May. So how much more difficult would that make it? It would seem like it would to attract a quality head coach when you really don't know who your bosses are going to be completely.
Yeah, it wouldn't be easy. And it's I've never thought that Allen Green, and this is not an indictment on Allen Green. Allen Green is a smart guy. He's highly respected in his field. But the way this is played out and, the way that they sort of went against the old guard there and brought in Brian Harsin from outside, a lot of people didn't want that to happen, didn't think it was a good fit. Looking back after 1 year, I'm not sure it was a good fit. But, again, it's just 1 year. So I really, as this thing has played out, even going back to the season, did not expect Allen Green to be there long term. And I still don't. I'd say, if not soon, certainly when his contract is up, which I think is in December, he'll be out and they'll be looking for a new AD. And I think he's probably looked to get out over the last 6 months, talked to different people about different jobs. Is still there. So the new president, I don't know. I mean, clearly he'll be consulted and talked to, but I think this is Jay Gouge's mess to clean up. Gouge is the current president. He was the one that sort of oversaw this hiring. He's the one that told Allen Green to go hire a football coach. And I think he's been probably told, or they've had those conversations, that, hey, we're in this predicament because of your decision. You need to figure out a way to get us out of this predicament.
I did want to end with some positive news. And speaking of messes, and I know you were on that beat before covering it nationally, but University of Tennessee, I mean, a year ago at this time, it felt like that was as the bottom of the bottom, it felt like, with no AD, no football coach, and they raided the cabinet there in Orlando, and it feels like Tennessee is on steady ground, to say the least, especially after what happened in year one under Heupel.
Yeah, it was a good start. It really was. And I think, bringing in Danny White as AD was a good move. Danny's a savvy, seasoned administrator, and I think he sort of helped get things pointed in the right direction. He brought in Josh Heupel, a guy that he knew very well at UCF. Josh was, if you've ever been around Josh Heupel, he's not a real rah-rah, over-the-top kind of guy. He's a cerebral, steady, sort of quietly confident guy. And then I think he instilled in Tennessee this first year a lot more positivity, and they played that way. I mean, I don't think 7 wins is certainly what Tennessee expects, but when you look at what he had to deal with, the way they played, and how fun to watch play they were, I think Tennessee fans were pretty impressed and hopeful of where this thing has gone. And I think when you look across the board at Tennessee over the last year, it's really been a tough 10, 15, 20 years across the board, off the field, in all different sports. But you look at what Tony Vitello did with the baseball team, and the fact that they went to the College World Series. Basketball team with Rick Barnes is a top 20 team. playing pretty well. So it's probably been as smooth the last year and as successful the last year on the field for Tennessee as the Vols have had in a long time.
So, final question for you, Chris. Back to the Auburn issue. I would assume, listen, there is no good time to talk about a change in administration, but it feels like there needs to be a resolution one way or another before spring drills start. Is that fair to say?
There probably needed to be one about a week ago. I mean, it's I don't know how much longer this could possibly drag out. I think Brian Harsin met with some officials last night. As I said earlier, he was at the head coach meetings today. Yeah. But no, if this can't drag out much longer. Auburn's got to decide, hey, he's our football coach or he's not. And the longer they let this go, the more laughing stock they're going to become, across the country. It's time to figure out what they're going to do.
And, Chris, my final question for you. You know Nick Saban as well as anyone. You have a great rapport with him. What feel do you get as far as the Bill O'Brien situation? We've already seen Doug Marrone, who I know you know very well, go back to the NFL with the New Orleans Saints, an organization he has a history with. Bill O'Brien, there's some jobs open in the NFL with some organizations with a lot of Patriot connections. Do you sense he's going to go back to the NFL, or do you think he could be back in Tuscaloosa for a second season?
I don't think Bill's looking to leave. I think there was a lot of people during the season who said, oh, this is probably a one-and-done type deal for him. I think it would be excited to come back and coach Bryce Young again. They've got some kids coming in the portal that I think will really help them. But, if the right job comes along, clearly if it had been a head job, I think he would have been hard-pressed to turn down a head job in the NFL. But I don't think he's just going to go anywhere. Yes, you're right. There's connections. He and Belichick and the Patriots. I think we'll just have to wait and see. But, everybody I talk to there says that, unlike what sort of was out there for a while, that he's not looking to leave Alabama. If it's just right, he thinks it's just right, and it's something that really, really is a fit for him, i.e. the Patriots, then I think possibly. But I still think there's a very good chance that Bill will be back in Tuscaloosa next season.
Chris,
great stuff.
Really appreciate the time, sir, and always enjoy reading your stuff on ESPN.com. Thank you so much for hopping on.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, guys. See you.
Chris Lowe from ESPN.com.
Always listening.
He always has his finger on the pulse.
Well, for me,
of a number of programs.
Being around this business for 6 years, if you want to talk Alabama, it was always Cecil Hurt and then Chris Lowe.
Yep.
And so, I mean, he's now the go-to guy. There's nobody closer to Saban than him. What he's just told me there, reading between the tea leaves, I think Bill's going to come back. I think because we've already seen the Joe Judge move with New England. They're trying to decide the total direction they're going.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got the Giants with Brian Dable, and then you got, of course, the Las Vegas Raiders. But, I've said this before. He can create a lot of value for himself trying to win Bryce Young another Heisman Trophy. They're going to have a great offense.
Yeah.
If they can find some offensive tackles. I mean, I know he had a really good working relationship with Doug Marrone, but I think Hegan Wolford, the new offensive line coach, I'm sure they can get on the same page. And I was definitely in the minority. There were some issues with the play calling, but that every now and then bothered you. But I was more bothered by the lack of execution. In other words, the route running portion. I think a lot of it was on the receivers, like a certain one that I would have helped pack for Austin, Texas. You can't run the routes for him. You can't make a Jai Hall.
That's very well documented up in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
I heard you after the game in particular.
TURD. But I just, and then again, with Jai Hall, you can't make him mature faster and approach the game right.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a story that I heard afterwards where Ajay was struggling catching the ball in practice. And Bill's a very direct guy. And so he's like, Ajay, do you have vision problems? Because you dropped the ball. He goes, well, yeah, coach. I mean, I have had some. He goes, well, son, why didn't you tell us? He's like, well, I was trying to compensate. He's like, son, we got to get that fixed. And so So Ajay Hall's got to learn how to handle himself. But again, I thought Bill O'Brien did a remarkable job considering what they lost. And then at the end of the season, by the time that you're playing through the national championship game and most of the weapons are gone, and you had an offensive line that wasn't a dominant group, I still thought, all things considered, I would have given him an A- for what he did. And then I think they can be even better in year 2 because Bill will be more comfortable.
Yeah.
And so I just think the continuity aspect to me would be big if they could get him back. I think Pete Golding is going to survive the deal. I know he's going through some issues.
Yeah.
But to me, that there'll be a lot of continuity there. And yet Saban still made changes. But if Bill doesn't leave, I don't see a lot of many more, if any. And I'll say this too. But if he does leave, the name that I was told is you have to go back and find the connections a lot of times with Saban.
Mm-hmm.
But the name I was told was Adam Gase, who won a Super Bowl with Denver as an OC. Now, we know your boy Hammer and Hank couldn't stand him in Miami.
No, he certainly did not.
And he was a disaster with the Jets, but who has not been a disaster with the Jets?
Yeah.
But I will say Saban gave him his first job at Michigan State as a student assistant and then thought enough of Gase to bring him with him to LSU. And so there's been a connection there. And supposedly when Coach Saban was deciding which direction to go last year when he knew Sark was going to Texas, it was going to be B.O.B. or Gase. He chose B.O.B. So, and as far as I know, Gase is not in the game right now. I think he may have spent a year out.
Yeah.
But now his name came up with New England, so we'll see what happens. But I just think if Bill O'Brien leaves, that Adam Gase would be a name to kind of monitor.
We will also continue monitoring what is going on down on the plains. Listen, I'm rooting for Brian Harsin. I want Brian Harsin to run a successful program down there at Auburn.
He deserves at least a second year. Look, man, I had to watch the Chad Morris era at Arkansas, and that was some of the worst football I've ever witnessed in all my life in the SEC. This was Vandy level bad.
Yeah.
And Sam Pittman's done a remarkable job.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
But I didn't think that about Harsin at Auburn. I mean, I thought they were hard-nosed. I thought they were good. They had some bad luck.
Injuries. They had a quarterback who playing on one leg at the end.
They had some deficiencies. I mean, from their offensive line not being a dominant group. They had some issues along their D-line.
Is the recruiting issue real around Harsin?
I would be concerned. I mean, because he doesn't have a lot of ties to, the Southeast and with the coaching turnover.
Yeah.
But I still think he deserves 2 years. You've got to let him – because they did keep Tank Bigsby. You've got to let him build the program the way he wants to do it, even if it's with a bunch of portal guys. I think they overreacted to the whiffing on the second signing day because it was 3 or 4 kids, and I don't know how good any of those were. But see, here's the deal. If you make the change now, they're worried about the 23 class because it's loaded and they're thinking they're not in on a lot of guys.
Yeah.
But if you change coaches, you might not be either because they've never seen these guys on the field. And so, you're either damned if you do or damned if you don't. Or, I think Smokey's back in the ranch. What's that song, Should I Stay or Should I Go?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I just really think – that he deserves a second season. Then if you go 5-7 or 4-8 or 6-6 or whatever, then you can cut the cord because again, you've got your AD on a 1-year deal. You've got a new president coming in May, and then you've got a football coach in his second year. The timelines have changed. There's more pressure and you have to win quicker. Well, then make the change after the second year. But to me, it's a completely bad look the way they're trying to basically smear him because they don't like him. And then I got news. Urban Meyer ain't coming to a place like that. Brent Venables and Billy Napier.
Why wouldn't Urban Meyer come?
Because of the alignment and he. First of all, Nick Saban already drove him to a nervous breakdown. Doesn't want to put himself through that again. I mean, the best coach they could get is Hugh Freeze.
I would assume.
But he's got baggage. Nobody does.
I've only interviewed Urban Meyer just a handful of times, and it was in his time with the SEC.
Yeah.
And the ego, obviously bigger than life.
Chris Lowe just talked about it.
But at the same time, I could see him being as cocky as, I don't want my last coaching stop to end like it did in Jacksonville.
Well, here's the deal. It's what Chris Lowe just said about guys being cocky, and they think all these coaches think a lot of their own abilities, and they think they can go into a place and fix things. But I don't think Urban Meyer – look, he could have just resigned in the middle of the season like Bobby Petrino and gone to Southern Cal.
Yeah.
He could have made one phone call to somebody that matters in Southern California and said, I want to be the Trojans head coach, and they would have done it in a heartbeat.
Let's talk to Grumpy on line 1. You can call in, too, on the Neighbors Wealth Management hotline at 256-576-4977. How are you, Grumpy?
Hey, I'm pretty grumpy, man. I think he deserves – I'm 54 years old, man, and I think out of my experience, he deserves a third year, not just a second year. He deserves 3 years. You hand him the keys to the program, it's for 3 years if that's your man. And you know what kills me is, I'd love to have Hugh Freeze. But, any coach that has put himself in the position to sign on with a school, with a name like Auburn, it's not the greatest, but it's up there. Any one of those guys is not going to leave their former employee. They've built their reputation up to the place where they can get a job like at Auburn. None of them are going to leave their current employer. They're already making bank where they are if they can get the Auburn job, because they leave their current employer in a lurch in February, and it looks terrible no matter who you – if Jesus Christ was employed, it would look bad on Jesus to come to Auburn in February.
Well put, Grumpy. Appreciate the phone call. I feel like that needs to be on a T-shirt somewhere.
It might be.
The money distribution has just been released by the Southeastern Conference. And you wonder why Texas and Oklahoma are uprooting and heading to the Southeastern Conference. Well, the numbers are eye-popping for the Southeastern Conference. These numbers just came out this afternoon. I'll have those numbers for you on the other side of our first time out. We're live here at Baumhower's Victory Grill. We'll be right back.
You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
What began in a backyard in the 1920s is still going strong today. In this area, the name Gibson means barbecue. And even after over 65 years in Huntsville, Gibson's is trusted for delicious barbecue pork, chicken, ribs, freshly baked pies, and the best breakfast in town. Family owned and operated for 4 generations. Gibson's Barbecue, South Parkway in Huntsville, and online at gibsonsbbq.com. Gibson's Barbecue, Huntsville's best since 1956.
Hello, this is Kerry Rosenblum Realty, and we're part of that MA family. It's great to see football season back in, and we're at Rosenblum Realty trying to take care of all your real estate needs, whether home buying or selling. We'd like for you to put our 64 years of experience to work for you. We have 4-generation family ownership, and again, take a personal touch to taking care of your real estate needs. Call us at 256-539-9501 or rosenblumrealty.com.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
Hi, everybody. Eli Gold here. Right now, indoor air quality occupies top-of-mind awareness for families and business owners. Rick Smith and the trusted professionals at Environmental Comfort Systems can take care of your indoor air quality concerns with their state-of-the-art indoor air quality solutions. Environmental Comfort's indoor air quality systems remove 99.9% of airborne contaminants so you and your family can breathe clean, fresh air. If anyone in your family suffers from allergies, or if you just want the security of knowing the air you breathe inside your home is free from viruses, bacteria, pet dander, dust, and odors, Environmental Comfort Systems are the professionals to call. Environmental Comfort also carries state-of-the-art, high-efficiency comfort systems that increase home comfort, keep humidity in check, and help you save money on your energy bills. Give my friend Rick a call or visit them online at envcomfort.com and breathe cleaner air today. Environmental Comfort Systems, Alabama license number 92314.
Our customers trust us not only to find the right hardware, but to advise them on the technology that makes them more efficient.
My Next Level team researches and discovers real solutions. Check-in software, HR, digital signature, and workflow software. It saves you money immediately. We hold your hand and stay with you through the transition.
We're taking our customers to the next level in business process automation.
Hi, my name is Dan Aldridge. I'm here to let you know about the Aldridge Law Firm and the soon-to-be-announced Legal Town Center. I've been practicing law in Alabama since 1984, and I also practice in Tennessee. And I'm from North Alabama, and I'm here to represent you and take care of your legal needs. For many of us, hiring an attorney is not high on the priority list, and maybe a little scary. But it's something that we all need at some point. So by all means, do your homework. And if you need representation for car accident, wrongful death, medical malpractice, nursing home abuse, or estate planning, or any other matter, just give us a call at 256-534-3188. And you can email me at Dan, that is Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. God bless America.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
This segment of The Drive is brought to you by Woody Anderson Ford, located online at woodyandersonford.com with 2 locations, Hughes Road in Madison and Jordan Lane in Huntsville.
Back here at Baumhower's Victory Grill, we've already visited with Chris Lowe from ESPN.com as we continue to monitor what is going on down on the plains, and there is no press releases. You know what? Before I say that sentence, let me double-check my email. Nope, no press releases as of yet, or no scheduled press conferences in the immediate future. There is no hard date that we know that spring drills are coming. But, yeah, you would assume, at least I would assume, that about the first week to second week in March is when you're going to roll out your spring drills, because it's A-Day for both Auburn and Alabama are both in April.
Well, they are, but Alabama just released they haven't released the lineup yet, but they released the dates for the Clinic of Champions. I believe it's the weekend of April 7th through the 9th, which is A-Day for Auburn, well, whoever the coach is.
So if A-Day is the 9th
for Auburn, it's the 17th for Alabama.
So
it's going to be Easter weekend.
It
hasn't been officially announced.
We're roughly, I would say, 3 weeks away. I would assume, depending on when spring break occurs, because you have to back time that too at Auburn, you may be looking at February 28th being your first day, or March the 7th.
Well, I just say it's crazy, and that's why they've got to get this resolved.
Yep.
But as far as Alabama, let's just say a little birdie said that it's going to be the 17th. It's going to be the week after Auburn. It's going to be Easter weekend. And that'll be the A-Day weekend for Alabama. And then again,
they usually try to avoid that.
Well, they
holiday
do. They
weekend.
do. But see, the Clinic, they never do it during the Clinic of Champions. And the Clinic of Champions is the week before.
Yeah.
When they have about 1,000 high school coaches and junior college coaches and everybody. And they have the speakers. So we'll see who the speaking lineup is. It's always a who's who. A lot of NFL people, college people. So
Tony Delk is going to join us in 10 minutes' time.
Nice.
So we will talk a little basketball with him. And on the subject of basketball,
I know we were talking about it to start the show a little bit.
Alabama, no problems against Ole Miss. In fact, when you shoot 14 threes, you make 14
out of
threes.
22. They shot 63%.
Yep. Not too bad. So I did ask Nate Oates this question. Coach, congrats on the win. What was the message to the team post-game-wise, getting ready for Arkansas now this weekend?
It was a fun win. We scored 97, the ball's going in. I think at this point we just keep encouraging them, be positive. Great job. I thought they played for each other. I thought guys were really unselfish. Some guys that had been playing heavier minutes didn't play as many minutes, and they played hard. I mean, Rojas only played 7.5 minutes, but we were plus 14 when he was in for those 7.5 minutes. So I thought his attitude was good. Darius didn't play as many minutes as he maybe usually did. His attitude was great. Just been talking about playing for each other, celebrating your teammates' success. I thought guys did that, so we kind of applauded them for that, and talked about our defense. Definitely is going to have to get a little better against Arkansas than it was tonight, but let's keep the ball moving, keep being unselfish, keep pulling for each other, and I think good things will happen. All right, we'll finish.
That is Nate Oates from last night.
Well, basketball's a funny thing. I mean, it's taken them a while to get the chemistry with this team. Hopefully it's starting to come together. A lot of people have asked me repeatedly about JD, and he had played poorly in the last two SEC games at Auburn and then at home against Kentucky. But he played lights out last night with 7 of 8, much like he did against Baylor. And like I've told them, it's the book has not been written. The ending. I mean, you've got to let this season play out. There are people telling me, "Well, JD,
they are not on the bubble."
No, but they're acting like, "Well, JD's not even going to get drafted, and JD's not on the radar." JD's on the radar. JD's still in a lot of first-round projections, and some he's not. But JD can easily, with his athletic ability, if he plays at that level and hits a level of consistency and plays and averages, for example, 13 or 14 points over a 6 or 7, 8 game period, and they go on an NCAA tournament run, for example, or a run in Tampa and then the NCAAs and get to the second or third round, in other words, have a chance to be a Sweet 16 team again, if he plays well, that completely rewrites it for J.D. Davis.
Juson Holt played 26 minutes.
That was a season high for him,
and
I think that had a lot to do with a couple things. One, Darius Miles still having his head up his you-know-what, coming off a suspension. They play the same position.
Yep. And
I think really with this group, it's been there have been the injuries to Juwan Gary. There have been, Rojas had been taking a while to get back. But I think really honestly, they've had such team-wide defensive issues that Juson is a long kid, and what I keep hearing is
Pulled 6 boards last night.
Is that he really has been practicing well. And what they're going to do is they're going to take a long look at this kid. They have to decide where they see him long term. Now, he's not shot it well, Steve, and that's bothered me because he was supposed to be kind of a knockdown guy.
Yeah.
But in some ways, I think he's had performance anxiety offensively. But, again, you just brought it up. Last night he D'd up. He rebounded. I think they really like what they're seeing out of him. They're trying to develop him, and especially with Miles getting off to a great start, but then he's hit 2 snags with his discipline, so we'll see.
I did want to sneak in a little local talk since we were both at Huntsville High's gym last night. Congratulations to the Crimson Panthers as it's the 4th straight trip, I believe, to Jacksonville as they down Albertville 65-49. They were down by 13 in that one, and then congratulations to the Sparkman Senators for downing Grissom 65-58. That final, Kalen Lightford had a whale of a game. So did Josh Price. Hit a couple of threes, but Mr. Kirk also he showed up as well.
He loves playing against Grissom.
For Jamie Coggins, and they shot They shot really well last night. Tomorrow night, Huntsville High's gym, that's a high-level matchup.
It is, but remember this name, Khalil Green. 9th grader.
Number one on the
Father
jersey.
Ray Sean Green played for Jack Dawson, was also a really good football player at Butler. And his brother and the uncle of Khalil, Azaria Green, great running back for Scott Sharp, also played basketball. A very athletic family. Khalil's got a chance to be special. I thought he was MVP with the big shots he made.
So I really thought the player of the game for Huntsville last night was John David Gossett.
J.D. Gossett, another young freshman. He had 10. He did a great job defensively with his length. He's such a tough kid. I thought Jamari Man Arnold was outstanding in the second half. He had all 16. Well, he had 18, but he had all his buckets in the second half.
Yeah, he made 2 free throws in the first half.
Had 16 in the second half, 18 overall. Messiah Morris, congratulations to him. He just committed to Gadsden State. He had 17. So they had 3 in double figures. Those 3 were able to carry it because they did a great job defending Albertville. I just sent Dylan Bennell a message on Facebook. His kids were locked in, ready to play. They were not ready to go home. They played 3 really solid quarters. Were ahead through 3 quarters. Were ahead by 11 at halftime, 13 in the third quarter at one point.
Down by a bucket after 3 quarters. It was a
42-40
game.
Yeah, and I just thought the 2 biggest plays in the game were DeAndre Chun, who's at the glue for Huntsville. He's an all-area guard. The he's a blood and gut kid. He slides across the court to get a loose ball and a steal, gets it to man for an and one, and then the biggest shot of the game, another freshman. It's 40-34, still a decent lead.
You going to Eli?
Yeah, for Albertville, and then the dagger from the wing from Eli Stapler that cut it to 3. And I felt like when Huntsville got it to 1 possession, Albertville really started feeling the pressure. They already were, but then it was like a boa constrictor, and Huntsville came back and wins it by 16, 65-49.
Speaking of money players, Tony Delk is going to join us on the other side.
Pretty good shooter.
Yeah, let's take our final time out here of hour number 1. We're live here at Baumhower's Victory Grill. We'll be back.
You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Get your Ford your way today. Hey folks, Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, and we've got F-150s in stock right now. We have F-150s on the ground so you can climb behind the wheel and take a test drive today. Plus, at Woody Anderson Ford, our 2021 F-150s come with $1,000 in bonus cash, along with financing as low as 0% for up to 60 months with your good credit. This offer ends February 28th. To be clear, these F-150s are in stock today, ready for your garage tonight. Now let's talk about making a custom factory order. Not only is there no extra cost to custom order, but you'll get $1,000 off MSRP on top of any additional factory rebates on 2022 F-150, Explorer, Ranger, Expedition, and Mustang. Go to WoodyAndersonFord.com and you'll see how easy it is. And speaking of easy, our service department is now offering free pickup and delivery when it's time for your next Ford service. Ask about it at Woody Anderson Ford, the corner of Jordan and Sparkman. Look forward to seeing you.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. You know, you'll hear people say we're like a family, but here at the Lackey Law Firm, that's really true, not just a saying.
I'm Justin Lackey. With my father and my sister, we have a special connection to each other.
I'm Jennifer Lackey. At the Lackey Law Firm, when we take on your case, you become part of our family. You really do.
And we'll always do whatever it takes to get everything you deserve.
If you're injured, you worry about getting well, not about paperwork or insurance companies or figuring out how to get to your lawyer's office. I'll come to you.
We worry about your case so you don't have to.
When you've been injured, we know that your case is probably the biggest thing going on in your life. More important than almost anything else.
And it's important to us too, for one simple reason. Family takes care of each other, and at the Lackey Law Firm, we'll take care of you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
Mark and Henry McDaniel, attorneys at law, are proud alumni of Madison Academy, and Madison Academy is proud of them. They have served our community through their practice, through volunteerism and service on national, state, and local boards. They explain the complexity of critical court rulings on local media. Their successful practice has been built on integrity. Both are veterans of MA Athletics and proud sponsors of Mustang football. McDaniel and McDaniel, attorneys at law. No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by the lawyer.
Are you in the market for a recreational vehicle? Do you want to get out and see more of this beautiful country? Well, imagine hearing the laughter of your little ones enjoying gooey s'mores by a cozy campfire and making lasting memories with your friends and family from the comfort of a new camper. We can make your dreams come true at Hall's RV. With over 15 years in the camping business, we know how to get our customers into the perfect camper. We have several models and floor plans here for you to choose from, both new and used. We're family owned and operated with fantastic deals and great service. Everyone wants to work with people they can trust, so come on down to Hall's RV and get the deal of a lifetime. We'll treat you right and get you on the road in the camper of your dreams. Visit us on Highway 431 in Albertville. Hall's RVs, where we sell fun. Or see us on the web at www.hallsrvsales.com.
This is Wes Neighbors talking to Chris Haygood of Bob Wallace Appliance. Chris, what sets you apart from other appliance dealerships?
Wes, these appliances are going into the most used room in your house, your kitchen. The way we have these appliances displayed, it's easy for you to visualize how they'll look in your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well trained. In fact, they live and breathe these appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
Contact Bob Wallace Appliance at 256-533-2121.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A mostly sunny sky this afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the upper 50s and lower 60s. Overall, going to be a really beautiful Thursday across North Alabama, southern Middle Tennessee. Generally speaking, we stay warm as we head into the overnight. Temperatures only dropping into the upper 30s and lower 40s. A mostly sunny sky once again for your Friday. A beautiful end of the work week across the Tennessee Valley. Temperatures hanging out in the low and mid 60s, dropping into the lower 40s as we head into the overnight. We're not going to be near as warm on Saturday. Mostly cloudy sky and isolated showers going to be possible. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
I wanna thank you. Thank you for making us your number one choice for sports talk in North Alabama.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Back here at Baumhower's Victory Grill, Drew DeArmond filling in for West Neighbors this evening as we continue the round ball talk, and we will do so right now with Tony Delk, former Kentucky Wildcat, and played in the association for a minute. I say a minute. He went from 96 to 06 there
time.
In the NBA, is now a member of the SEC Network. Tony, how are you this evening, sir?
I'm doing well, man. I'm just hanging out up in Boston right now, so enjoying some of this not too cold weather, but just in Beantown.
Yeah, there you go, Tony. It's Drew DeArmond. It's an honor to speak with you. I wanted to ask you about the SEC thus far this year. I still think Auburn is the class of the league, though Kentucky's a very close second. I think Arkansas is rising fast. It's as deep a league as I've seen in a long time, but I wanted to ask you if what you've seen of Auburn. They look like, to me, they've got the deepest team in the SEC I've seen since your 1996 Kentucky Wildcats cut the nets down and had guys like Antoine Walker coming off the bench.
Yeah, they're a really solid team. Play excellent basketball. They defend. Walker Kessler, just getting them from North Carolina, he's been a huge difference maker. When you talk about somebody that can control and protect the paint, rebound the ball, just give them a presence that, most teams don't have in the country and can score a little bit. Not a bad score around the basket. And then, like I said, with the guard play they have, guard play is excellent. Wendell Green and Katie Johnson, two guys that can break the defense down, collapse the defense, get in the paint, make plays, shoot the three from outside. And we already know what Jabari Smith is. Just an excellent player.
Yeah, especially him hitting a couple of threes late. That was awful. It seemed like Auburn was out of it there in overtime at Arkansas, but I guess if you got Mr. Smith, you're going to hang around some games, I guess.
But what he gives you is, he gives you a guy that can create his own shot, and that's one of the things that when you look at him being a next level player, is you only have about 10 to 15 minutes, sometimes less than that, to create a shot off the bounce. And with his handles, his length, his range, he knows how to separate and get his shot off in a comfortable place. He's the guy that, when you look at Final Four teams that have won it in the past, you got to have one guy you can throw the ball down there to and say, hey, give me a bucket, or he can get you a bucket from the outside, or he can create something easy for teammates. And he just happened to be 6'10", which is scary when you think about just how talented he is. But well-coached team, and I look at when they played Kentucky, it was a game that Kentucky was off to a great start. Ty got hurt, and Kentucky is definitely I didn't want to watch a lot of them, but I'm kind of watching them from afar, because I feel like when I'm watching them, they're not doing as well as I want them to do, but they have really surprised me. Coach Cal has done a phenomenal job of giving his players to compete on a nightly basis.
Well, and Tony, he's also kind of changed his MO. He was king for a long time of the one-and-done era, but with the transfer portal becoming such a huge factor in college basketball, he's got now an older team, probably the oldest team he's ever had from an experience standpoint at Kentucky, and they really seem like they're getting better and coming together chemistry-wise and getting Ty healthy. I thought Ty Washington was the difference in Tuscaloosa with his old-school mid-range game. He could really take the ball and get it where he wanted to and make plays, and he certainly did that against Alabama.
Well, when you're watching this game, I know we have so many kids that fall in love with the three, but you still got to have some guys that can make some short jumpers, that could take some of the pressure off those guys knocking down shots from the outside. And that's what Ty does. He does a good job of, driving, working on his floaters, 1-2 pull up. He has to step back. His game is tailor-made for a kid that can shoot from the outside, but also a kid that want to get to the basket. And you got to really give, Coach Cal a lot of credit for, early on, he was getting the one and done. He was getting the best one and done at each position, which is different from getting one and done kids that might not be the best center, might not be the best power forward or the best shooting guard or the best point guard. And he was getting those players early on. He was getting the number one player at each position. So as years have passed, these guys are going to different places. Like, they're not all headed to Duke and Kentucky. Like, they're spread out. From now, you got to try to get guys to buy into, hey, you might not be a one-and-done guy, but you can be here 3 years if you're still good and teams can find you. But the transfer portal really has been, to me, a game changer for so many coaches around the country where you can just go in and maybe get a guy that you recruited that went to another school, but you kind of know what kind of player you're getting. He didn't come to you initially, but now you're still seeing he's available, and he could be the perfect player that fits his system. And you can't be afraid to go get a guy that's 20 years old, that's had a year of college experience under his belt, and bring him into your program.
Tony, what's your temperature on Alabama? They've been a hard team to read, at least for me. What have you seen out of this year?
They really have, because I was so sold on them early. I was even comparing them to the Baylor guards with Mitchell, Butler. I was really comparing them to those guards, and they looked so good early, especially how they manhandled Gonzaga and think like, wow, this could be a Final Four team. And then, they hit a stretch where they struggled. They wasn't playing defense, wasn't knocking down threes, and they had lost their identity. So Quinterly and Shaffer, are two guys that are very capable of getting you, 60 points between the two of them, 50 to 60 points. And, Davidson, I thought that by now, he's kind of like that young player that I was thinking was going to give them that 14, 15 points either as a starter or off the bench. And, his game, and teams have made adjustments too. That's the one thing about once you get into conference play, teams know your offense, teams know your personnel. So when you can go out non-conference play teams, you got a chance to beat them because they really don't know like a Kentucky, a Tennessee, a Arkansas. So it makes it a little bit harder when you get into conference and you start playing these coaches and players that even know, we played against you last season, so we know exactly what your tendencies are, but still a team that, that still it can be a problem because of they have two guys that can take over the game.
Well, if there is maybe one other team I couldn't tell you how they're going to play just from game to game. It's LSU. I really, especially as much changeover that Will Wade had from last year to this year, at least out of the gate, they were gangbusters, and they were playing defense at such a high level. I thought this was going to be a top-level team, Tony.
But also we got to look at who they were playing to. Like we got to be realistic. Like there's some of these, when these teams jump off to those 14, 15-0 starts or 13-1, is who are their opponents? You know, when you get in the conference, like that's, to me, that's when it really counts. That really shows who you are. Because even as well as they played all those games early, is once you get into conference play, these coaches know you. They know your personnel. They know your sets. You know, you don't come up with new sets all of a sudden that these coaches don't know or they haven't scouted. But, you know, you even look at what Arkansas has done, you know, who is the hottest team right now. They got off to an 0-3 start. So now you think, like, wow, Arkansas was a team that we thought was going to be at the top of the conference, and they're right back there now. You know what I'm saying? Because they know how to play. And once Musselman, you know, had those guys to buy in, because it's almost like the expectation was there. Sometimes your teams that do well or have a good season, they can come back and be complacent. And they can come back to, well, we know we're good. And then you get punched in the mouth, and then that's when everything changes. So by them getting punched in the mouth early, I thought it was a wake-up call to not only, you know, to the players. I know the coaching staff never underestimated, you know, any opponent that they played against. But I think the players, because of the success they had last year, they were kind of feeling themselves.
And, Tony, I know it's still there's a lot of basketball to be played over the next 3 weeks or so before we go to Tampa to the SEC tournament. But how many teams do you realistically do you like to make the NCAA tournament? And could the SEC would be a boon if they could get 2 1 seeds. Right now, Auburn and Kentucky are making cases for that.
Well, I think, like you are right. Kentucky, you know, have a tough game against Florida. You know, this upcoming Saturday. You know, Auburn. I think they get Missouri. I think they got. I don't know who they have coming in, but somebody.
Texas A&M.
Texas A&M. Yeah, they've been struggling. Yeah.
You know, we could get 2 number 1 seeds. We still have a lot of games, left. The second half of tough games remaining. But I really do see out of this conference maybe 6 or 7 teams get in. You know, I think you definitely know who are the top teams that are going to get in, but just some other teams that have played well. You know, you look at Arkansas not being ranked, but definitely the hottest team in the conference right now. So you definitely got to include them into what's going on. So you got Auburn, Kentucky, Tennessee. You know, you got to look at LSU. Got to give LSU a shot. And you know, I think we definitely gonna get 6 in, and there could be a 7. You never know what could happen during SEC tournament that weekend if the team gets hot. And you know, but the conference has a lot of really good teams and some good players. So I'm excited about the SEC tournament that will be held in Tampa this year.
That's right. Talking with Tony Delk right now on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. And something else that's been kind of fun to follow as a fan of basketball growing up, and really I fell in love with it back in the 80s and kind of fell in love with the big man of the Hakeem Olajuwons, the Patrick Ewings. And I realize guard play is where it's at, but at least the resurgence of the big man, be it Walker Kessler or even at Kentucky with Oscar Tshiebwe. Yeah, definitely. It feels like a little mini resurgence of the big man.
Yeah, I think Oscar has been the biggest surprise to me, and not knowing anything about his game at West Virginia, I'm not going to be one of those guys. I saw Oscar having a Player of the Year kind of season, but just the first game against Duke, I was like, man, he was a man amongst boys, you know. But you look at that game itself, and he was the only one that really played. So that if we don't have Oscar, we probably lose by 20, 30 points easy. And I was like, okay, you know, so, you know, you never think that a guy could have another game like that, another game, and it's just like now it's expected out of him. You know, when he doesn't get 15 rebounds, you're like, man, Oscar had a bad game. Like what happened? But, you know, you're going to have 2 or 3 players trying to box him out. Like going into the scout report, it's like we have to keep this kid off the board. But he has an unbelievable motor. He's a rim runner. He rebounds in traffic. He rebounds out of traffic. You know, he has found his niche. And I love it because Coach Cal goes to him. He gets him involved offensively. He'll take that foul line jumper. But just a relentless kid that, you know, he gives you everything he has. And like I said, with Walker Kessler, another huge big man that's, it's amazing, he wasn't playing or he left North Carolina. It's like, man, how could you lose a player like this that got, 19, 14, and 7 blocks? Like, you don't lose that kind of player. Like, there's something missing from my coaching staff if we let this player go and he goes somewhere else, and it's like, wow, we let this actually left our campus. We didn't do a good job of either developing him, or we didn't see the potential in the kid, or we didn't give this kid an opportunity. So really, it's about opportunity for some players. That's one of the reasons why you're seeing more and more players in the transfer portal.
So finally, Tony, I wanted to get a thought or two on officiating, and it does feel like, as much as I'm hearing freedom of movement, it does kind of feel like, to steal a Jay Billis phrase, that the sideline patrolman along the highway is letting cars go by at 80 miles an hour, and there's nothing being done.
I think officiating is I'm not going to say bad on all levels. I mean, it varies. It's like, I tell players this, because I have a program in Atlanta, Tony Duck Basketball Academy, and I tell the parents, I say, stop worrying about what the officials are calling. I said, because, you don't complain when your son turned the ball over, missed shot, doesn't get back on defense. There's so many things that as a coach, we can be upset with your kid over with, but you mad at the referee because, they missed a foul, or, they missed a call here. I say, it's a part of the game. They can't call every foul. They're going to miss calls. They are human, but most of the time, you got to tell your players, hey, just focus on the game. We only can control what we can control. We can't control how the officials are going to referee a game. So leave it alone. Let them do their job. We just do our job.
I watch those weekly whistles, and I read up a little bit on the materials that they give out to the officials. I call Division II basketball here in Huntsville, Tony, so that's why I try to keep a little closer eye on it. But there was a concerted effort, at least in the offseason, to call more offensive fouls this year, but I ain't seeing it, Tony.
Now you have really good, you have skilled players now. You have skilled players at each position now, so it's not like players can't drive and use a step back, or they have a counter move that they can use. They don't have to run over you anymore. I think when you had a bunch of 4s and 5s, that if a shot clock was winding down, those guys put the ball on the floor. It was a turnover. They just ran people over. They didn't have the counter move. They didn't have the footwork to come to a stop or to use a step back. So what we're seeing now, we're seeing more skilled players. So more skilled players can drive and make moves that you think in your mind, you think in the back of your mind, like, wow, that would have been a charge like in the 80s and the 90s, or that player wouldn't have been able to do what we're seeing right now. So the game has changed from a skill and talent standpoint. And that's one of the reasons why I love where the game is there right now, because you have the skill positions being 6'9", 6'10" guys that you're looking at as guards. You look at Jabari Smith, just thinking to yourself, like, this dude play like a guard. You know what I'm saying? So I love the lay of the game. I love where officiating is at. So let's keep supporting the good officiating.
Tony, great stuff as usual. Love your insight, and thank you so much for your availability. Sorry to pester you over the last couple of weeks, but this is why I love getting you on, Tony, because the insight is fantastic.
Thanks, Tony.
I always appreciate it, sir.
Okay, take care, guys.
Tony Delk, on loan from the SEC Network. We're going to keep it in the SEC family. We're going to flip it back over to football, someone who played in the National Football League for quite a number of years, a 6th-round pick out of the University of Florida. Chris Doering will join us next.
AVIQ. Who is AVIQ? AVIQ is audiovisual the intelligent way, where we put our IQ to work for your AV needs. With more than 100 years combined experience in audio, video, and automation, our team of experts is dedicated to one thing: helping you discover technological solutions that make your home special. Once you experience a game or a movie on one of our state-of-the-art home theater systems, you may never leave the house again. AVIQ can build the entire system for you or provide the quality components if you're a do-it-yourselfer. But AVIQ is more more than just home theater and state-of-the-art sound systems. We offer a variety of control options for home technology. Energy efficiency, heightened security, and improved quality of life are all attainable through the automation of home systems. Intuitive and user-friendly control is our main priority in designing a system that meets your needs. Don't just take our word for it. You need to see it to believe it. Come visit us at our state-of-the-art showroom on University, just east of Jim and Nick's, across from AT&T, or visit aviqhsv.com.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. A big trade in the NBA just before today's deadline. The 76ers and the Nets. Philadelphia gets James Harden. Brooklyn gets Ben Simmons. And ESPN's Ramona Shelburne reports Simmons could not be happier.
He's going to take his time to get acclimated in Brooklyn. He's going to still see his mental health therapist and take some time to just get his footing there in Brooklyn. But couldn't be more thrilled. He's already talked to Kevin Durant. Can't wait to get going. And as we reported last week, he did choose to get vaccinated. So initially he wasn't, but now he is. And so that won't be a problem with New York's vaccination rules.
Ramona Shelburne. As part of that deal, the Nets also get Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, and 2 first-round picks. The Sixers also get Paul Millsap. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski reports the Bucks get Serge Ibaka from the Clippers in a 4-team deal that also includes the Kings and Pistons. As part of that trade, Dante DiVincenzo goes to Sacramento, Marvin Bagley III to Detroit, Rodney Hood to the Clippers. ESPN's Tim McMahon reports Dorian Finney-Smith will sign a 4-year, $55 million extension with the Mavericks. The U.S. men's hockey team opened pool play with an 8-0 win over China today. Sean Farrell with a hat trick and 2 assists. The football that Tom Brady threw for his last NFL touchdown pass in the divisional playoffs is going up for auction on, appropriately, Super Bowl Sunday. Bucs wideout Mike Evans caught that pass and threw it into the stands. The fan who caught it wants to stay anonymous. It was his first Buccaneers game.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max.
The public sentiment may be nobody really expected the Bengals to be there in the first place. They're playing with house money. I know Joe Burrow expected to be here. That's the reality.
More from the guys Friday morning starting at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN2.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Welcome to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, 256-576-4977.
That's how I roll. And I'm not going to drink and drive anymore.
That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Wes and Steve.
Back here at Baumhower's Victory Grill. Wes is out. Drew DeArmond filling in for the big guy here tonight. Steve Moulton back here with you as we head out to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. There are so many subjects to cover in such a short time to do it, so let's not waste any time by bringing in Chris Doering on loan from the SEC Network. How are you, Chris?
Hey, I'm doing well, Steve. Good to be back with you. And Drew, what's up, bud?
Hey, what's up, Chris? How you doing, man? Good to be with you.
Yeah, no problem.
Where to start? Let's start with the news that is just making a big old mess in this state. And what is your take on what is going on down on the plains right now, sir?
Well, you update me. Is there recent news? Because I think we all keep waiting for some formal announcement.
No, there is no recent news.
Okay.
He was in Birmingham. He was at the meetings today. He left, got into the wrong car, and then went to the right car, which, I don't know, you can devise whatever you'd like to out of that.
Yeah, some analogy there for sure. But, I don't mean to speak disparagingly about Auburn, but there's always, some level of dysfunction that I think the rest of the college football world has looked at Auburn as having. In this instance, it's clear to me that it was not a great fit. I don't know why there wasn't more due diligence done to see about some of the stories that are now coming out about the poor fit between Brian Harsin and the administration at Arkansas State. But I clearly believe that this is a relationship that folks pretty clearly see that the plug needs to be pulled. The problem that I have is what appears to be the maneuvering to try to not pay the man the money that he's due. So if you don't like the guy that you hire, then there's a reason why there was a contract put in place, and pay the guy and move on, and find the guy that you think is a better fit.
Yeah, there's no doubt. It's certainly not a great situation at Auburn, but I wanted to go to a more positive subject. That's Billy Napier at your alma mater, Florida. He did a remarkable job at Louisiana. He was very meticulous in the head coaching job he took, and then we all know he didn't go to Auburn. He didn't go to South Carolina. He did not go to Mississippi State. He was waiting for the proper opportunity to move up. He's gone to Gainesville now. I think he's going to be a huge hit there. I think he's putting together an outstanding organization from top to bottom like Nick Saban has done at Alabama. But I know you have a lot of contacts. You're still close to the program down there. Your initial thoughts on Billy Napier in Gainesville?
Yeah, the initial thoughts when the hiring was being rumored to have been on the way was one of excitement after talking to my buddies in the state of Louisiana. Jacob Hester's a good friend of mine, and we got to know Coach Napier when Billy was at Louisiana. Couldn't say enough about him. Couldn't say enough about how frustrated a lot of LSU people were that he was right under their nose. They didn't give him an opportunity. I feel like it's a lot of good fortune for Florida. As you mentioned, Billy Napier believed in himself and was patient and not jumping at the first SEC job that was offered to him. Found, I think, what's a good fit mutually on both sides with Florida and with Billy Napier. And you mentioned it. Meticulous, I think, is a great word. From what I've learned of him, from the people around him, I've had a chance to work with, I'll tell you, him hiring that big staff you talked about has been great for my mortgage company because we've had an opportunity to work with a number of those folks and getting to know them and the way that they speak of Coach Napier leads me to believe that he's got a great plan and he's in the middle of executing that. But I would say that credit goes to Scott Strickland, the athletic director, as well. You talk about that big staff that kind of mimics what's been done in Alabama and at Georgia. There was a lot more money that had to be ponied up, and so Scott Strickland went out and found it amongst the booster base, and they put together a staff that can certainly rival what a lot of those other top-tier programs are doing in the SEC right now.
On the subject of Chris Doering Mortgage, I went there. He is the presenting sponsor, the Football Writers Association of America Freshman of the Year. Why was it important for your company to be the presenting sponsor of that particular award?
Well, I got involved back probably about a year ago, maybe at this time. I was talking with Mike Griffith of Dog Nation, guy that's been around the conference for a long time, as you guys know. He was talking about the idea of having something that the people would remember Coach Spurrier for, and he brought up this idea. So I got involved in trying to put it all together and make it happen and find sponsors. And then I started thinking, well, why don't I just do this myself? And so it's been a nice fit for our mortgage company, and certainly, looking at the amount of attention that we've gotten this year already. The award was split between Josh Heupel and Shane Beamer, both within this conference and both within the footprint of where we do a lot of business. We're actually having the banquet coming up here in Gainesville at Coach Spurrier's restaurant February 21st. We've got Coach Beamer, we've got Coach Heupel, we've got Coach Napier all committed to being here, and obviously Coach Spurrier will give the award out. Those are four pretty big hitters when it comes to the SEC, so we're excited to have them come to this community, and I'm really excited about the future of this award. But really, it was for me to honor my coach, a guy that's had tremendous impact on my life, and somebody that not only has helped me in the world of football, but helped me develop into the person that I am today, and developed the opportunities for me to do what I'm doing here with you guys on the phone, with the SEC Network, with SiriusXM Radio. Those things aren't possible if I wasn't given a chance to play at Florida and to excel and have the opportunity to create a bit of my name for myself. So I owe so much to him, and outside of my parents, I don't know if there's been a person that's had a larger impact on my life than what Coach Spurrier has.
Well, and it's interesting, Chris. You bring up a great segue, too. I think it's been kind of flying under the radar, but if you're South Carolina and their fan base, you've got to be really excited with the bowl victory over North Carolina and the finish to the season overall. I know they were disappointed in the game against Clemson, but other than that, they have a winning record in Shane Beamer's first year. And then what they've been able to do to kind of transform their roster in the portal, it's got to be a situation where there's a lot of optimism going into year 2 with Shane Beamer. I thought he was super impressive when we saw him in Hoover as a head coach going into his first year.
He really was, and I'd be remiss not to mention Josh Heupel and that Tennessee program in the same breath, because if you look at it, they're very, very similar. Two programs that were in disarray last offseason with a lot of roster attrition through the transfer portal, not a lot of hope heading into this year. And both of them, I think, exceeded wildly what even the most optimistic expectations were. Obviously, Tennessee beat South Carolina head-to-head this year, but it was South Carolina was able to get that big bowl victory that you talked about against North Carolina. So I think the future is really bright in both places, but specifically in talking about South Carolina's program, what a great fit, for I think fit is so much of what college football success is about now. Look at what happened in Fayetteville with Sam Pittman and how great a fit that's been. Look at what we're seeing now in Columbia, South Carolina with Shane Beamer returning to a place that Coach Spurrier brought originally and getting everybody excited. Now, the big transfers are landing there with Spencer Rattler being the headliner. Who would have thought that South Carolina a year ago would be talked about as much as they are right now? So I just think, you look even beyond these two guys that just finished their first years, look at what's happening in the SEC East in general. I mean, Missouri and Kentucky had higher-rated recruiting classes than Florida and Tennessee did. I don't know that we'd ever have imagined that would have been what we're talking about, but Coach Stoops and Coach Drink really doing a nice job in selling their programs, and Coach Stoops, above all, taking an idea of what the program could potentially look like and bringing that to fruition. I can't say enough about what's happened in Lexington, Kentucky under his watch.
Talking with Chris Doering right now from the SEC Network and SiriusXM Satellite Radio. And, Chris, we heard you loud and clear last fall, and there were certain times that you made your opinions public, and not many Alabama fans enjoyed those opinions being made public. So what in particular did I just see from afar, and maybe did Alabama overachieve in your eyes last year?
Honestly, guys, I don't know that Coach Saban would ever say this out loud, but I have to believe that he thinks he squeezed the absolute most juice out of this team that was possible. And we saw a very different, kinder, gentler Coach Saban this past year because he knew this team. He knew what they needed. He knew they were young and inexperienced and needed to be brought along. There wasn't any panic within that locker room early in the season when I did see things that weren't typically characteristic of an Alabama team. When the offensive line was busting protections and busting run assignments, when the defense wasn't fitting the run the proper way, when you looked at the miscommunications and blown coverage in the secondary, those things were rampant early in the year, and they got better as the season went on. There were still times where the offensive line, I think, was exposed as being a little bit fraudulent, but getting to the college football playoffs this year, getting to the national championship game, I never thought that would have been something that was possible when I looked at this Alabama team in September. They certainly weren't on the same plane as what the 2020 team was, but that's not a crime. I mean, that was one of the best teams of all time, and I think you look at what the future holds for a roster that returns a lot of production from last year. What I thought last year was not an elite team, I think has a chance to be an elite team in 2022.
Well, and Chris, your alma mater at Florida, they've had some additions through the portal. I know Billy Napier is also, was aggressive and flipped a couple of five-star guys in recruiting when he got there. I think his strength as a coach is his organization he's going to put together is going to be great evaluators and great recruiters. I think he's going to do a great job. But how good a team do you think he can have potentially in year one?
I think it's going to be a difficult challenge. I mean, you look at the schedule every year, Florida having to play in the East and having to play LSU as their crossover rival. They start the season against Utah. I mean, it's not going to be easy, but my hope is, selfishly, and Coach Spurrier mentioned this, that we'll be giving that Coach Spurrier first year Coach of the Year award to Billy Napier. I think the optimism has to be tempered a little bit, as it could definitely take some time. But I think you go back and next year we have this discussion. We'll be talking about one of the best recruiting classes in the country for the 2023 class. But I really believe in this coaching staff, and I believe that they have a right plan in place. Hopefully, the fan base that is the Gator Nation will be patient with understanding. It's a bit of a makeover because I think the offensive and defensive lines are certainly well below what the SEC elite is and what we expect here in Gainesville. So I think it could take some time, and I think this is a roster that really is void of a lot of elite talent that you would typically see at Alabama and Georgia right now.
We certainly spend a lot of time on college football, but being in the Southeastern Conference and as much that it turns into that feeding frenzy that is the National Football League, the Super Bowl this weekend features a lot of SEC talent, and Joe Burrow is taking the nation by storm, and we just got a sneak preview a couple of years ago of it between him and Jamar Chase.
How much fun has it been, though, over the last couple of years covering this conference? We look at that 2019 LSU team. It doesn't matter if you're an LSU fan or not. You have to appreciate greatness, and that was one of the best teams of all time, and certainly one of the most elite offenses of all times. And we got to see something very similar the next year with Alabama and their offense and what they were able to do. This past year, I think defensively that Georgia's team was in that same class, and now we've seen guys like Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson and what we've seen from Joe Burrow excelling at the National Football League level, Devontae Smith and Najee Harris. Like, it's been so much fun watching these guys in college and now seeing them transition rather smoothly to the National Football League. And I'm sure we'll be talking about many of those Georgia players like Devontae Wyatt and Jordan Davis and on the offensive line, Jamari Sawyer, having great NFL careers in the near future too.
Yeah. Who do you like this weekend?
Man, I'm undecided right now. I think the fun story is the Cincinnati Bengals story, and the fact that I thought Cincinnati was going to be beaten in the first round by Tennessee, but they've certainly overachieved. I worry about the offensive line being able to block that very formidable defensive line that the Rams have.
Yeah, Aaron Donald, Von Miller, and the like there on that opposing sideline. But, I mean, you mentioned it. We saw Joe Burrow get sacked 9 times against the Titans, and a kid from the state of Alabama, a Florida kicker there from Fort Payne, Alabama, there in Evan McPherson, has also at least been a big storyline up here in North Alabama.
Yeah, if not for Joe Burrow, I think Evan McPherson could be one of the most talked about stories in the NFL here in the postseason. Just been tremendous. Had a great rookie year in general, and obviously I know you guys in that area are proud of him. We're certainly proud of him as Florida fans and former players and all here. But I think we were a little surprised at him deciding to leave early, but that decision has paid dividends not only for him but for the Cincinnati Bengals organization as well.
One other question that I've got for you. There was a lot of talk in late December about eliminating one of the signing days, be it in late December or February. Do you think that is going to happen down the road around college football?
I don't know if it's going to happen or not. The design of the December signing period was to kind of take some pressure off not only the recruits to get that out of the way and be able to move on, but also I thought it was supposed to help the life of the coaches. I'm not so sure that's happened. It seems like they've just pushed everything up, and now the summer is a more busy time for having recruits coming in than once was. But I don't even know why we call the first Wednesday in February National Signing Day anymore. It's certainly not that, with the majority of people signing in December. But the thing I don't like about it, guys, is what it does to, affect what we saw this year in the regular season. We saw a team that was in the national championship race in Notre Dame lose their coach because he needed to get down to his next stop before signing day. So, I don't know if we can push it back a little bit or what, but when signing day is affecting coaches that are actually in the mix to win a championship potentially, something seems askew in my opinion.
Are we going to see a window for portal activity rather than just open at all times? Do you think there needs to be times at which the portal is open and closed?
I do. I hope so. Right now what we're dealing with is not only recruiting, but then basically free agency, and then signing day after that, the second signing day. So there needs to be some limitations. I think it would be better for the kids as well, to have some sort of cooling off period. There's a lot of irrational decisions I think that are made, and I would agree with Kirby Smart and some of the other coaches who have said that going to college in general, but specifically playing football, it's an opportunity to grow, and you're faced with challenges that you have to persevere through. I know I was, and I know it made me a better player and made me a better person in general, and I just worry about the transfer portal and the media eligibility being an easy way out that's going to prevent kids from having the opportunity to go through those challenges, work through them, and come out better the other side.
Chris, really appreciate the time, sir, and always enjoy your insight, and look forward to seeing you sooner rather than later. When's the next TV gig for you? I imagine there's...
I'm hoping spring. I hope we get a chance to get back out and do some of the spring tours that we used to do, but we lost that the last 2 years with the pandemic, so I'm excited potentially to get back out there and get to see some of these teams in spring practice.
That's what I'm talking about. Well,
looking forward to that.
Yeah, looking
Thanks,
forward
Chris.
to that,
Appreciate
and then get ready for the dinner coming up down there in Gainesville. That sounds
much success.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you guys very much. We appreciate the support there, and look forward to being on with you guys again soon.
Thank you, Chris. Chris Doring from the SEC Network and SiriusXM Satellite Radio, and Chris Doring Mortgage. And, oh, by the way, the Freshman of the Year presented by Chris Doring Mortgage, in case you didn't know.
Yeah.
Brock Bowers.
Yeah, and
University
of
of Georgia.
Shocker there. Easy decision to declare that freak of nature. The reason Kirby has a ring and he can get rid of his Herschel poster.
I get a weekly tweet or text from one of you jokers out there that says, you can burn your VHS tapes.
Well, I actually haven't sent that yet lately.
But I get it. I know. I get it.
He was the biggest part of their offense, and of course
so we've ascended. Now can we stay up there?
Yeah.
That's
the hardest part.
Yep.
Is being the hunted, and they've already seen some fallout with Jermaine Burton leaving one to go to the other. Going from Georgia to Alabama.
Is this going to be an LSU flash in the pan, an Auburn flash in the pan?
Well, Auburn would hope to have that kind of flash in the pan right now. Right now, they don't even know who their coach is going to be, I guess. But certainly we'll see with LSU. They hired Brian Kelly.
No bag man being reported down on the plains at the moment. They might need a bag man.
Yeah, so he's in Knoxville. But anyway, Rodney Garner I'm speaking of.
Yeah.
But,
no, I know exactly.
Yeah,
but I appreciate
Trooper Taylor needs a job. He's been in Duke.
Waving towels.
Yeah, they could start selling the towels again on the websites. The Trooper towels, Trooper and Looper. I still remember that.
Auburn fans, I am sincere when I say this. I want Brian Harsin to be given a legitimate shot. I just think the rug has been pulled out underneath him. He cannot get that legitimate shot. And it's almost these self-inflicted wounds by whoever, be it somebody in the society or just some supporters. If you're not all pulling in the same direction, I feel like I'm channeling West Neighbors. If you're not all pulling in the same direction, all you're doing is hurting your own program. So I really genuinely hope that Brian Harsin gets a legitimate shot at running the program his way, but it does not feel like that is going to happen.
Well, again, and who's the head coach going to be? Because they officially announced Kevin Steele at Miami, I think, yesterday. So
Well, that's just an announcement.
I know. He could have his third job in 2 weeks. And he's
Boy,
probably,
wouldn't you love to write a book about Kevin Steele? Just over the last year and a half.
Last year, he had 2 buyouts.
Yes.
I mean,
at Tennessee and
he
at
tried
Auburn.
to get a head coaching job at Auburn and then Tennessee, and now it's like Groundhog Day, like Auburn's come back up. So, I mean, wow.
Groundhog Day was a little over a week ago.
Yeah, supposedly the winter got extended, even though today it felt great.
Oh, man.
60 degrees.
Fantastic.
Man, it was baseball weather out there today. But certainly, I think everyone's excited, and, to see, I sure am. I'm pumped about tomorrow. I think it's going to be tremendous. Should be a big crowd over at Huntsville High, 7 o'clock.
Huntsville Sparkman for the area championship.
Chapter 4. Huntsville's won the last 2. Sparkman won a great game in the first one, and it's very difficult to beat a team the caliber of what Jamie Coggins and David Hughes have built. But they did it. They beat Jack Dawson's outstanding team 3 out of 4.
But the road does not end for either of those
teams.
No.
Both going to regionals. They cross over with Vestavia and Spain Park, and so the winner of Sparkman Huntsville will get the loser of Spain Park Vestavia, and then the opposite will happen. The loser will get the winner. And so, again, you're going to Jacksonville State no matter what.
The following Wednesday, I want to say.
Yeah, so, but again, Sparkman's done a remarkable job. They're 24-7. Agent Zero, as we like to call him, Kalen Lyford. What a game he had last night. 18 points, silky smooth. Just a lot of great plays. The young freshman, Khalil Green, as I said earlier in the show, the son of Rayshawn, and the nephew of Azaria. It's such a great athletic family. It was great watching them. Josh Price, he and Landon Jacobs have been key pieces. Josh coming from JB2, Landon Jacobs from Madison Academy.
There is a tie-in between Drew DeArmond and Mr. Green.
Oh, yeah.
And that is, if you know your Huntsville City championship history, so Green was an add-on on the roster after it was made public.
Yeah.
And Drew kept the book in that first game. I believe they played Columbia.
They did.
And he was not in the book. So technical fouls were awarded.
And that's how I found out he was Rayshawn's son.
Yeah.
But he stayed on the varsity since then. He's become a crucial part of it. He's become a big part of their rotation. They trust him. I thought he was MVP last night. I thought he made and Kalen a close second. Kalen was outstanding. But at the end of quarters, Khalil made a lot of big shots to keep, Sparkman with a 9, 10, 11-point lead, keep them with an extended, advantage in the game. I thought he was tremendous. He scored double figures, and I think he's going to be a special player. With Kalen moving on to the college level after playing 4 years and being at a program the caliber of Sparkman, to say that you've started pretty much every game of your career as Kalen Lightford has is tremendous. It shows the impact that he's had, and then I think they got put over the hump with Josh Price coming over from JP2. Really steady compliment to Kalen Lightford, a guy that can make shots, and then Landon Jacobs gives him the physicality in the middle.
Yeah.
He certainly played physical against Grissom last night. He gave Huntsville all they wanted up at Sparkman. He's a guy that transferred from Madison Academy, about a 6'6" kid that definitely can play college basketball. So Sparkman has got a lot of talent. And then they got the history maker, Timber Kirk, who was the MVP of the Huntsville City Classic without starting a game. And he's a dangerous sniper off the bench. So it's going to be quite a chore. But, Huntsville's trying to do to Sparkman what Sparkman did to Grissom, win 3 out of 4. And so my mantra has been, don't blink because you might be gone.
We do need to take our first time out. LL, if you hang out with us, we'll get to your call on the other side. Final 30 minutes belong to you. We're live from Baumhower's.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com. You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, Check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Hi, everybody. Eli Gold here. Right now, indoor air quality occupies top-of-mind awareness for families and business owners. Rick Smith and the trusted professionals at Environmental Comfort Systems can take care of your indoor air quality concerns with their state-of-the-art indoor air quality solutions. Environmental Comfort's indoor air quality systems remove 99.9% of airborne contaminants so you and your family can breathe clean, fresh air. If anyone in your family suffers from allergies, or if you just want the security of knowing the air you breathe inside your home is free from viruses, bacteria, pet dander, dust, and odors, Environmental Comfort Systems are the professionals to call. Environmental Comfort also carries state-of-the-art, high-efficiency comfort systems that increase home comfort, keep humidity in check, and help you save money on your energy bills. Give my friend Rick a call or visit them online at envcomfort.com and breathe cleaner air today. Environmental Comfort Systems, Alabama license number 92314.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
Katie Britt is a Christian conservative and an Alabama First business leader running for the United States Senate to save the American dream from Joe Biden's socialist agenda. Katie Britt will bring fresh blood and new energy to Washington and fight tirelessly for our conservative Alabama values. Here's Katie Britt.
My faith and relationship with the Lord guide my everyday life. Being pro-life and pro-Second Amendment doesn't make me radical. It makes me American. We have to show strength at the border, and what we are showing as a country right now is total weakness. It is so important that we protect our nation's borders. We are a nation of laws, not a nation of lawlessness. We need somebody that knows how to fight for Alabama, that believes in Alabama.
Katie Britt will fight for our Christian conservative values, put Alabama first, and never apologize for it.
I'm Katie Britt, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Britt for Alabama, Inc.
Hey there, Bob Baumhower here. Baumhower's Victory Grill is your big game headquarters all fall long. And with our new fall features, every day is game day at Baumhower's Victory Grill. Try our pregame starters, including our homemade onion strings, always fresh hot lips, and our all-new Buffalo Dippin' Chicken appetizer. Our main events include incredible chicken, fish, and shrimp selections, always featuring local Alabama Gulf seafood. And don't forget our Sunday Blitz, 11 to 6. Baumhower's Victory Grill. Legendary fun, legendary food.
Back here at Baumhower's Victory Grill. I should say, for educational purposes, since Drew DeArmond is on hand, our final 30 with DeArmond, presented by Environmental Comfort Systems. Give them a call at 256-308-0032, as Drew has been filling in all day long for West Neighbors here this evening at Baumhower's Victory Grill. But a big thank you to Environmental Comfort Systems. Comfort is our middle name. Check them out online at envcomfort.com. 256-576-4977 is the telephone number. LL, if you held through the break, the floor is yours.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Doing
Good,
well,
sir.
Hey, look here, Drew, let me ask you a question. I
Sure.
don't know anything about football, portal, or anything else, but is there a limit to how many players in the portal a team is allowed to go get?
No, sir, I don't think so. It just depends on your overall number of scholarships as far as the bottom line number, 85. And, of course, you can bring 25 in per year, but this year, due to COVID, you can bring in 32.
So I guess I'm thinking crazy about the way this thing is. Is that killing some of the high schoolers that really, want to go in and make an impact on basketball or whatever?
Well, I do think it's hurting them to a degree. I think that there's certain kids that maybe aren't the 5 stars or the top 100 type kids that are maybe late bloomers that are getting hurt in the process. Huntsville High just had a kid commit who was aggressively recruited by Gadsden State, Messiah Morris, the point guard, and he jumped on that opportunity because, if you're not a kid that's, on the D1 radar, you may have a hard time finding a place to land because a lot of these schools are waiting to see who goes into the portal. So I think the transfer portal in some ways has hurt both high school and junior college kids.
Okay, well, yeah, that's pretty much the way I was thinking. But, all right, I appreciate it.
Thank you, LL. 256-5764, 97.7 is the telephone number. And this weekend we've got more college basketball slated for you right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. And coming up Saturday morning, and I mean Saturday morning.
Oh, it's brunch in Tuscaloosa.
Yep, it is an early tip time in T-Town as Alabama welcomes in Arkansas, an 11 a.m. tip. Following that, we will have coverage of UH Charger basketball, and it's a big one.
Lee
for the Chargers as the Lee Flames come into town fresh off of a loss at home to West Georgia.
Uh-oh, they'll be mad.
They are going to be an ornery bunch of Flames, but I would assume there's an ornery bunch of Chargers after what happened in Tennessee earlier in December.
And, we're going to talk to Coach John Shulman tomorrow morning, but I think he would agree with me saying this, that the Chargers, though, have been very, very good inside the stable.
Yes, they have. One loss, and that was by 1
to Union.
Yep. And I still think even at that point, middle of January, they were still figuring out the puzzle. And I think they're close to figuring out the puzzle.
Well, and a big injury, too, because I think part of the puzzle that was being figured out was Nyland Thomas, the true freshman point guard.
Still got a boot on.
Yeah. He's been out with a foot injury, but Costal has stepped up some and made shots and handled the basketball. The riddle that they have to solve, and I don't know that it'll be solved this year, is finding a way to keep Chaney Johnson out of foul trouble. It seems like an impossibility.
Falls out of bed with 2 fouls.
Yeah, so, but again, UAH, I thought it was a huge win, the way they came back after having a big lead, because starting the game, I think, there was 12-0.
Mm-hmm.
They made 4 threes, and then they were up big in the first half, but then to fall behind by 4, pretty late in the game, but then have C.J. Williamson do his Jordan impersonation and just take the game over.
Gunnersville's finest.
Oh yeah, and see, and if those have been following your coverage, C.J. dominated that game the first time in the blowout. They could not guard him, and so I thought in a way, Chaney Johnson fouling out of the West Florida game was a blessing in disguise because C.J. Williamson was ready to go to work, and he certainly helped spur the Chargers on to a huge road win. And as Coach Shulman likes to tell us, road wins are like heaven. They're hard to get. So UAH 7-7 and firmly in the mix, Steve, to get a Gulf South Conference tournament berth.
Well, the latest standings, Super Tuesday has a total of 8 teams that make the tournament. 4 teams get to host. There is no doubt that Union and West Alabama have separated themselves. But then after that, right now, even as late it is in February, Lee's at 9-5, West Florida's at 9-6, West Georgia's at 9-6, Montevallo's at 8-7, Chargers are at 7-7. Hosting is still not out of the question for the Chargers.
Yeah, they've just got to finish strong with a young group.
Yep. Philip is on line one. Appreciate you calling in, Philip. How are you?
All right, guys. How y'all doing tonight?
Doing well.
All right. I just wanted to ask, is Harsin still alive down at Auburn? Does he still have a job?
He was in Birmingham today for the coaches meeting, and yes, as of, well, wait a second. Let me double-check my inbox. I have not received any emails today from Auburn. Oh, I did receive an email from Auburn, but it is in regards to game day information about ESPN coming Saturday morning for College Game Day for Auburn and Texas A&M, but nothing in regards to the football program.
Y'all think Harson's going to be able to survive this, or are they going to want to try to push him out? Or
I felt stronger about Harsin being forced out earlier in the week. The longer this drags out, it makes me think that Brian Harsin does have a chance at sticking around.
I don't know what all is going on down there. I've heard for some people who are Auburn fans, and I've heard a lot of people say it's a big mess down there. So,
well, there's no doubt that it's a mess.
I kind of hoping the way they might give him another, give him one more shot at it, for another season. But if they feel like he needs to go ahead and part ways and just go ahead and let him go, and I guess a lot of people wouldn't, probably wouldn't, mind that. A lot of the Auburn fans, but I don't know, so I don't know anything. But I wanted to ask Drew, how's Alabama look on recruiting right now so far?
You talking about for 2023?
No, for next year. Next year coming up.
With what they just signed, I mean, I think from what I've been told, they've got 2 spots left. I've said that they could add as many as 5 portal guys. I still think they're going to wait till after spring practice, Philip, to see maybe what the biggest need areas are. I would say offensive tackle and perhaps potentially another wide receiver or an alpha defensive lineman since Fedarian Mathis has moved on. But those are probably the 3 positions that I would think would be the biggest of concern, because Alabama needs to find a replacement for Mathis in the spring. They need to find out how good in their offensive tackle situation is. Tommy Brockermeyer, J.C. Latham, Amari Kite, all these guys that, Damian George. How much progress have they made? Are they going to be able to, in their mind, have an SEC level offensive tackle on each side? Because they lost Evan Neal, and one of the projections I saw the other day was Evan was going number 1 overall to the Jacksonville Jaguars because they need to protect Trevor Lawrence, the greatest of all time, coming out of college. That
sunshine.
They need. Doug Peterson's a quarterback whisperer, but they need to protect him. So. We'll see. I think they're in really good shape. I think, they decided not to add a punter. I think they feel like Burnham's going to get better. I thought he got better at the end of the season. He's certainly not Jake Camarda, who was probably the best punter I've ever seen in my life. At Georgia, that's another reason Kirby's got a championship ring, by the way. That punter was a weapon. But, I mean,
he was.
Yes. I mean, but we'll see. I mean, I do think that the signing class is going to give them some help. Some of those freshman wide receivers, I think, can help them. I think the 3 guys they already took in the portal, Jahmyr Gibbs, Elijah Ricks, and Jermaine Burton, I think they all are going to be starters. And if they can add a couple more to strengthen themselves, I do think Alabama, with Bryce Young coming back, if they can solve the offensive tackle issue, because to me, that's the only issue on the offense besides developing those wide receivers. And I do think with the Jai Hall's late season surge, that could be a guy to watch as far as developing into a player. I think Burton will be very productive in the offense, and then it's just going to be Aaron Anderson, some of those guys that they signed. I think I think they got a chance to be really good. I mean, they're certainly going to need a few young players to step up, and then again defensively, really it's just a situation where they've got to replace the will linebacker. But I think they've got Deontay Lawson, they've got Jalen Moody, they've got some guys that can play, and then the biggest thing is replacing. Fedarian Mathis. We'll see how that goes in the spring. But I think the corner situation, I know they lost Jalen Armour-Davis and Job, but with Kool-Aid McKinstry playing as much as he did the second half of the season, Kyrie Jackson, and then bringing in Ricks, I think they have the answers at corner already also.
Well, I'm going to let y'all go. I know other people are probably waiting in line, but going into spring, with two quarterbacks leaving, I guess that puts Jalen Milroe as backup to Bryce, doesn't it?
Well, potentially, but watch out for Ty Simpson. He's been very, very impressive early. He and Milroe are going to have quite a battle. Milroe's busting it. He knows he's got to develop as a passer. He's really working on his game, so that's going to be a really interesting battle to back up Bryce Young, who, of course, had an unbelievable year. And then I thought Chris Lowe was very forthcoming in hour one to kick off the show. He thinks that the possibilities are strong right now that Bill O'Brien's back for a second year, which would give a lot of much-needed continuity to this Alabama offense.
Okay.
Thank you, Philip.
Y'all have a good evening.
Appreciate the phone call. Let's take our final timeout. Patrick, if you hang out with us, we'll get to you on the other side. Live here from Baumhower.
You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Organizations using Salesforce know how powerful the platform is and how much time, money, and headaches it saves if it's set up right and you know how to use it. Let's face it, Salesforce is complicated and time-consuming to figure out, and a lot can go wrong now and down the road without expert help. That's why most Salesforce users work with an implementation partner like Higher Echelon, so they get the absolute most out of their Salesforce investment. Higher Echelon is a 5-star Salesforce consulting partner who won Salesforce Military Hiring Partner of the Year. President Dr. Joe Ross is retired Army who played and later coached for the cadets. He puts that experience to good use at Higher Echelon, where they pride themselves on hiring veterans. Look, not all Salesforce partners are the same. Don't put your company at risk by going with an inferior partner. Higher Echelon is the trusted partner you can count on to get you up and running and seeing returns on your Salesforce investment in a fraction of the time it would take if you go it alone. Go to higherechelon.com. That's HIGHERECHELON.com to learn more. Go higher and go Army.
Get your Ford your way today. Hey folks, Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, and we've got F-150s in stock right now. We have F-150s on the ground so you can climb behind the wheel and take a test drive today. Plus at Woody Anderson Ford, our 2021 F-150s come with $1,000 in bonus cash, along with financing as low as 0% for up to 60 months with your good credit. This offer ends February 28th. To be clear, these F-150s are in stock today, ready for your garage tonight. Now let's talk about making a custom factory order. Not only is there no extra cost to custom order, but you'll get $1,000 off MSRP on top of any additional factory rebates on 2022 F-150, Explorer, Ranger, Expedition, and Mustang. Go to WoodyAndersonFord.com and you'll see how easy it is. And speaking of easy, our service department is now offering free pickup and delivery when it's time for your next Ford service. Ask about it at Woody Anderson Ford, the corner of Jordan and Sparkman. Look forward to seeing you.
Hi, this is Wes Neighbors. I'm here with Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Sam, tell the folks about Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Hey Wes, our company Fleming Roofing and Restoration specializes in commercial and residential roofing and repairs. I'm a 5th-generation Huntsvillian, and our family's been doing construction business in Huntsville area since 1965.
Sam, what kind of roofs does Fleming Roofing and Restoration do?
Our guys are skilled enough. We can come out and address any kind of leaks or issues you might have on your commercial, on your metal roofing, on your shingles. We can do anything, and we can offer you a solution to repair it or we can replace it.
Well, you guys also do insurance restoration.
Our staff has 10-plus years of experience as insurance adjusters, and we really do know the inside and out of the claims process at Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Check out Fleming Roofing and Restoration online at FlemingHSV.com, or you can call or text them at 256-651-9440.
Hey, Wes, we show up.
Take your taste buds back in time with a trip to the all-new Bubby's Diner, offering a variety of mouth-watering food, from delicious starters to 50-style diner food and meat-and-three meals, featuring owner and Huntsville native Chris Bubby Belcher's family's homemade recipes. Open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner at 8412 Whitesburg Drive in the former Gibson's Barbecue. And you can enjoy $50 worth of delicious Bubby's Diner food for half price with this week's Zone Deal. On sale now online at 977ESPN.com.
When I chose a garage door company, I did my homework. I needed Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. They have a 5-star Google rating. I checked the reviews and liked what their customers had to say. Precision Overhead Garage Door has lifetime warranty packages. Same-day service if I call before 2 p.m. If they can't make it the same day, my service call fee the next day is waived. They did a 25-point safety inspection on the door and operator. Now that's peace of mind. Residential, commercial, and gate services. Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. Call 256-400-4500.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
This is the only place for Drew DeArmond, Wes Neighbors, and of course, Tom Abraham.
I never met him, but I hear that he's a man of character.
97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Closing time. Open all the doors and let you out into the world. Closing time. Turn all of the lights on over every boy and every girl.
Winding things down here at Baumhower's Victory Grill. Appreciate Drew DeArmond filling in for West Neighbors here tonight. And again, our Final 30 brought to you by Environmental Comfort Systems. As the seasons change, don't forget to get that heating and air unit tuned up, and the folks at Environmental Comfort will hook you up in the right way. Appreciate their fine sponsorship of our weekly segment with Drew DeArmond. We just expanded it by 90 minutes today with Wes being out. Had an opportunity to talk to Bruce Pearl post Arkansas. Now, this question of mine, I'm giving it a C-, but the answer from Bruce Pearl is an A+. Coach, if you could comment on that atmosphere. You mentioned it right there, but also the fact of your team worthy enough of the storm, the court getting stormed at the end of really what does this say more about your program and what you've built there at Auburn?
I was proud to be number one. And gosh, we haven't lost since sometime in November. We understand the prize that's on our head. It's very difficult on the road. And, congratulations to Arkansas. It's just hard for me to believe that we're the first number one team to come in here since they've been in the SEC. So, let's see, we worked really hard to put ourselves in that position. But it was tough. It was tough. We had 30 field goals. They had 23 field goals, which is, you're on the road.
So what you did not see in that answer was behind Bruce Pearl was the carnage. I mean, it was just carnage. You could see through the door behind Bruce Pearl of students just running and just it was but I thought the answer that he gave me was very heartfelt and thoughtful, and there was a target indeed on Auburn's basketball program because they are number one.
I mean, it always is when you're that good. I still think they're the best team in the SEC. I picked them to lose that game 78-75. It was close. I think it was 80-76 and in overtime. It's just too difficult to go undefeated. I mean, you get everybody's best shot.
Yep.
Certainly Auburn didn't have Zep Jasper. He's back practicing today, so good chance he's in the lineup. And Buzz Williams, who I've always been a big fan of, they're dead in the water.
They've 4-0 start, and then
they've lost, I think, 7 in a row.
7 in a row.
And they have a 1% chance of winning in Auburn Arena. I'm not going to say 0. You never do that.
So you're telling me there's a chance.
Exactly. There's a chance if everybody has the flu.
Patrick is on line 2. You're up next. How are you, Patrick?
Hey, I'm a big Auburn fan. I love what we're doing in basketball, but this football stuff going on with